North Carolina. Key facts. Abbreviation NC. Nickname the Old North State. Capital Raleigh. Flower dogwood. Tree longleaf pine. Bird cardinal. Folk dance clogging. Motto esse quem videri, to be rather than to seem. One of the original 13 British colonies in North America, North Carolina's capital city Raleigh is named after Sir Walter, who famously, in popular legend and comedy at least, introduced potatoes and tobacco to the old country. The very first English child to be born on American land, Virginia Dare, drew her first breath a year before the Spanish Armada on what is now North Carolinian soil. The area where she was born is still called Dare County in her honor. Near to her birthplace is a town called Kitty Hawk, which became very famous 316 years after her birth, when Wilbur and Orville Wright succeeded one winter's afternoon in 1903 in making the world's first controlled, powered flight in a heavier-than-air machine. Well, not the first as it happens, but the one that everyone celebrates. Heavier-than-air machines are all very well, but I am enthralled by the idea of lighter-than-air travel. I have never been up in a balloon, but just outside Asheville, North Carolina, there is a man prepared to take me up to look down on some of the astonishing beauty of this part of the world. Asheville, I'm pleased to say, is one of the most agreeable towns I have yet visited. America, as has been widely reported, is in danger of turning the parts of itself that aren't protected as wilderness or park into strip mall hell. Hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of miles of Comfort Inn, Days Inn, Holiday Inn, Red Lobster, Olive Garden, Denny's, KFC, Arby's, McDonald's, Burger King, Starbucks, Foot Locker, Ross Dress for Less, CVS and Walgreens pharmacies, Home Depot, Staples, Best Buy, Target, Kmart, Walmart, etc., etc., all strung along the highways, all only accessible by car, all unattractive, all resolutely and horribly the same. The town centers from which these strips radiate are often dead by 7 in the evening or have degenerated into ghettos of the poor, the drug-dependent and the gang-affiliated. Asheville is different. Asheville is very much a why can't all towns in America be like this kind of a place. George Vanderbilt chose Asheville to be the seat of his enormous Biltmore mansion, the largest private house in the Western Hemisphere, which attracts an average of nearly 3,000 visitors a day. Aside from the Biltmore estate, though, Asheville is a city of variety, style, vibrancy, bohemian charm, and architectural, especially Art Deco, beauty. I walked for miles along its streets without once seeing a Starbucks or a fast food franchise. Asheville is said to be the vegetarian capital of America, the happiest city in America for women. It has gathered all kinds of sobriquets and top 10 listings. It has the University of North Carolina campus and other institutions of higher learning, but its charming, free, and infectious liveliness cannot fully be explained by it being a college town. There are plenty of cities in America with far more campuses that have nothing like the appeal of Asheville. The New Age features that have accreted to the town in recent years I can leave alone, but batty as they may be, they are peaceful and unthreatening except to the intellect and the will, of course, and perhaps contribute to the unspoiled qualities of this wonderful place. I arrived in North Carolina by climbing the mountain road out of Tennessee and heading for the top of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, where the line between the two states overlooks a view of staggering drama. From the top of the Great Smokies, one can look all the way across to another famous range further east, the Blue Ridge Mountains, both ranges still being part of the Appalachians. The stunning highway down from the mountains to Asheville is called the Blue Ridge Parkway, and I drive through Cherokee country to get there. The Cherokee are regarded by many as the most prosperous of the Native American peoples, a tribe that seems most successfully to have adopted the conditions enforced upon them since the arrival of Europeans all those years ago. Its chiefs have been heads of petroleum companies and have chosen a path of greater integration than other Indian nations. Nonetheless, the reservation I drive through, including the town of Cherokee itself, is not embarrassed to sell any number of Hibik-Wampum-style artifacts. Ballooning. I meet Ricky the balloonist in Candler, a town not far from Asheville. The weather, he tells me, favors our ascent. Two large fans drag the warm air into the envelope until it is as large as a party marquee. I walk around inside, growing in nervousness. I never had the best head for heights. Can one really just stand in a basket and be safely blown about by the wind? There is no way this will not lead to disaster. The whole science of balloon ascension suddenly appears to me to be radically flawed. Somehow I have been helped into the gondola before I can tell Rick this terrible news. Between the fierce roaring bursts of burning, there is complete silence. We rise a mile without seeming to do anything. For the first half mile I am terrified. Vertigo turns my knees to jelly and I want to squat down in the basket. But as in the West Virginia coal mine, I am too cowardly to admit my cowardice. Around us there are mountain ranges and valleys of a beauty so intense and in a light so perfect that it almost makes me sad. I'm overcome by a kind of astonished ache for the nobility, grandeur, and scale of it all. The smoke of the Smoky Mountains and the blue of the Blue Ridge are something to do with atmosphere and plant material. It is not cloud or fog per se, but a kind of hazy blue vapor that clothes these hills. Given that there has to be such a phenomenon, why should it also be so beautiful as to tear at your heart? We descend over a wood and move along at tree height. I pluck a maple leaf from the topmost branches. Rick is actually a futures trader. He can do all that at home on the internet in the North Carolina countryside. In his spare time, he can look down on the state that gave aviation to the world and smile with satisfaction at how much lovelier mankind's first form of flight continues to be. For all that, I am glad that we sit down in a driveway of someone's house. Terra firma beats terror every time.